Hi, boys and girls. Been about a week. Got things pretty well under control. It's 1:45 a.m. Had my session yesterday, so usual. Try to do this during the middle of the night. Gonna get political tonight. Been a lot of politicking going on, especially over Obamacare. Kind of takes everything else out of my mind. Been reading. Yeah, been reading a lot of newspaper articles. Turn this thing off. Yeah. That's the big thing right now. Obamacare. The Republicans and the teabaggers. I mean, they're trying to ruin Obamacare. It's always been my opinion that the pharmaceutical companies, your big medical service companies, they make tubloads of money out of American medical system. I think it's correct that $1 in every $5 of the gross national product of the United States goes into medical institution in the form that it's operating right now. It's a real moneymaker. And Obamacare, if it's successful, is going to change a lot of that. That doesn't mean that the government's not going to spend a lot of money on medical care for the American people, but it does mean that some of these companies, insurance companies, doctors, clinics, and whatnot, that have been gouging the American public for the last 25 or 30 years, excuse my language, their sugar kick's going to go away. And boy, they don't like it worth a flip. They definitely, they're willing to fight to the end. If you recall, back when President Clinton was in office, he put his wife Hillary in charge of a effort to socialize medicine. And the medical institution and the people that make money from it spent something on the order of $250 million. Now, this was back in the 90s, which is a good long time ago. And I don't know what the equivalent amount would be now, but it would probably be in the billions. But they spent just tubloads of money to discredit Clinton, beat down any possibility that there might be, what they call now single payer. That means that if you get sick, you just go to the doctor, and the doctor has to take care of you, and the government pays for it. And we are the only, I think it's correct now, we are the only industrialized nation in the world that doesn't have socialized medicine or single payer or takes care of the people. Our system is for profit, and boy, have they been making profits over, particularly I'd say not since World War II, but probably since late 50s on. It's gone nuts. Anyway, I discovered something. The Republicans and the teabaggers have been going ballistic about the Obamacare website that has come up. If you, it's not if you don't have insurance, then you've got an option: either buy some insurance off the Obamacare setup, or you pay a fine. But what this does, of course, is forces a lot of the younger people that last 15, 20 years haven't had what used to be common. When I was a young person, you went out and got health insurance. You might get sick. You didn't know. Well, there's been a mentality in the country here in the last 15, 20 years, if you're young, hey, you're indestructible, you're never going to get sick. I don't need insurance. And there are a lot of people that never provided, they never budgeted for insurance. And of course, insurance has gotten, medical insurance has gotten pretty expensive. But they just didn't. I don't get sick, I don't need it. Well, Obamacare will force these people, like I say, to either have it, have insurance out of the system, private insurance, or pay a fine. Well, the system opened up. Obamacare's website opened up here 1st of October, and it's been a bit of a debacle. I mean, it's. I want to say that there's in excess of 100 million people that at some point or another will need to participate in this website in order to keep from being fined or in order to obtain insurance that's now mandatory. They're going to have to go into this website and use it and sign up, and the website has been a debacle. I haven't tried personally getting into it because, of course, I'm on Medicare. I have my own private insurance, and there's no need on my part. But people out there have been trying to access the thing, and it hadn't worked. And the Republicans and the teabaggers have just been going ballistic. I mean, they've had hearings in the House, which is controlled by the Republican Party, which is controlled by the teabaggers. They've been having hearings in the House for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. They've had the person, the healthcare director. I see her name here. I'll tell you what it was. I don't have it memorized. But anyway, they've had the healthcare director on the seat down there, I think 2 weeks. I mean, she's been there every day trying to explain, well, what's to explain? The thing doesn't work. And I want to show you something that's kind of ironic because, of course, the Republicans are the ones that are screaming about it. The company that set up this website is called CGI Group. And CGI Group actually set up the Canadian medical system. The Canadians have socialized medicine. You get sick in Canada, you get down to your local clinic, you got a green card, you go in, and they take care of you. Now, if you listen to the conservatives in this country, they will tell you, you've got a 2-month waiting list, yada, yada, yada. If you've got something terminally wrong, you might die waiting. All the Canadians are coming across the border, to use our wonderful system. Well, we travel during the summer, we go to Siegel North and we go over into Canada. It ain't so. It's not the way it is. The Canadians would not give up their system for ours. I know this from personal experience talking to them. They think ours is a joke. Anyway, CGI set up the Canadian system. Works fine. CGI also set up the website for Obamacare, which has been a disaster. I'm going to read something straight from the paper because I can't formulate this. It says here, the lead technology contractor behind the problem-ridden federal online health insurance marketplace is a beneficiary of the Texas Enterprise Fund. The Texas Enterprise Fund set up Obamacare's website. According to a Money in Politics watchdog group, Texans for Public Justice reported Friday afternoon that the Montreal-based CGI Group, which provides information technology consulting services, received $1.8 million in investment in 2011 through the Texas Enterprise Fund, a business incentive fund overseen by Governor Rick Perry. Governor Rick Perry is contributing money to the company that set up the Obamacare website. My goodness. He wanted to secede from the Union. I mean, he has fought this thing every way he could. Don't you kind of find it ironic that he's the oversight group, he's the overseer of a group that gave money to these guys? Is it possible? Due to the fact they had such a large investment of money that they said, you know, set up a site that, you know, is going to drive them nuts. It doesn't work. We don't want this thing to fly anyway, so this is how much money we'll pull our money back. You know, you build a few glitches into this thing. I don't know if that's, I think it's a possibility. I think that maybe old Rick, you know, kind of like a fifth column, spies. I think maybe that he's sitting down there in Austin going, look at that. Let's see what else we can do to help you there, Obama. Barack. Anyway, I think that you know, the Obama, they need to get another contractor. I think they have. I think that I don't know if they've cut loose from these guys, but they brought other people in now to try to fix some of the glitches that were financed, at least in part, by Mr. Perry. I just find that ironic as all get out. Anyway, I have another one here. There's a doctor orders get the insurance. And, well, it would be too long to read. It would be too long to read. Tell you what I did. You probably noticed I stumble. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting senile. But the thoughts don't organize as well as they used to. So I went out and got me a new Dollar General. Probably made in Japan. Made in China. Isn't that a surprise? Anyway, got me a new log here so that I don't forget my thoughts. It has worked. Oh yeah. Wounded Warrior projects. How many have you sat on? How many of you have sat and watched TV? And Trace Atkins has come out. Yeah, he's got his black cowboy hat on, and he's crying the blues about our Vietnam, not Vietnam, but our veterans coming back from Desert Storm and Iraq and Afghanistan, and how, you know, their legs blown off and whatnot, and these guys need care. You know, somehow or another, they're being totally overlooked by the system, and it turns out, I did a little research on this thing. Wounded Warrior Project. It turns out that the Wounded Warrior Project only puts a very, very small, itty-bitty percentile of their intake actually into helping wounded veterans. And the rest of it goes into, what's a scam. I gotta do something this time. I've got a thing on behind me here, driving me nuts. There. That's better. Whoosh. Well, we get the other one too. Alright. That's better. I'll probably get rid of some of the noise. Anyway, the thing is a scam. The wounded veterans thing, you know, veterans are taken care of by the VA. At least some portion of my care is overseen by the VA. And there's Trace Atkins and Fred Williams. I've seen him. He's an ex-football player, and they they put the most heart-rending stuff on there about how these veterans are being not taken care of and anything. Anyway, the program, Wounded Warriors, is a scam. They put just it says according to CNN, $2 billion, which has been raised, to very little of which has been spent on the vets. It's a moneymaker. By the way, anybody cares to think about Ted Cruz running for president? You know, he was down there. He did a 21-hour filibuster against Obamacare, which we talked about earlier. Man's running for president. He's not qualified to be president. He's a neo-Nazi right-winger. All his support and everything comes from the Tea Party, and he's a sorry. I won't say that word, but he is. Yeah, well, originally Obamacare was meant to do away with the disparities in the health system that cost too much and let uninsured die. That was what Obamacare was for. If you think about it, before there are millions of people uninsured, have no access to health care other than go to the emergency room. And if you of course went to the emergency room and then didn't pay your bill, then you and I as taxpayers, we paid their bill. So the original idea was to get these people some kind of coverage so that and have them help pay for it, so that us U.S. taxpayers wouldn't have to do it. Oh yeah, the average person pushing for so hard to end big spending, most of those people are receiving government subsidies in one form or another. They just want everybody else's subsidies to stop. They don't care about they don't want theirs to stop. They want that other bum down the street to lose his. I had a thing here. How many of you folks have ever heard of Vladimir Posner? In the old Soviet Union, there was a news commentator. I kind of liked him. I didn't like the Soviet Union, but I liked him. His name was Vladimir Posner. And when the old Soviet Union broke up, old Vladimir, he was very popular here in the United States. He actually spent most of his time in the United States, but he was Russian. And I remember they interviewed him, and he said, he said, my country is falling apart, but if you think that your country can't do it, just wait. And here in the last week or two, I heard some conservative teabagger from down south. They put forth a spectrum that maybe some of the southern states or the people who were in that constituency, conservative teabaggers, they would go into their state legislatures and they would encourage their state legislatures to stop contributing their funds to the federal government. Actually, that's the way the Russians went down. The Russian republics, when what is his name? Boy, I'm having trouble tonight. Gorbachev, when he was in office, they when they were starting to break away, they stopped sending their tax revenue to the central government in Moscow. And Gorbachev wouldn't send out the army to make them bring it up. So the country fell apart. And this Posner, I remember, He said the same thing can happen to you. And I heard somebody here in the deep south, they were talking the same trash, country can break up, we won't send in our, we won't contribute our share, country will come apart. I haven't heard much about it. I heard that a couple, 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard much about it, so maybe that specter isn't as, isn't out there as big as it could be. But I still remember old Vladimir saying that it can happen to you. Yeah, dumb. These people are blaming Obama personally for the problems of Obamacare. I mean, it's all his fault. There's no doubt in my mind that the legislature was written up by some underlings. We know that the website was created by a Canadian company. I doubt very seriously if Obama had the time and the inclination to, read every word and verse of what was being put down. He does have to depend on his underlings. Anyway, it's dumb. He's not at fault for everything, Rick Perry. Yeah, I already read that. Okay. Story. Anyway, get out of my politics. The Republicans are nuts. They're doing everything they can to discredit anybody that's a Democrat, liberal. They just keep it up. You notice that all these hearings and everything are in the House, not in the Senate, it's just the House going and going and going and going. Of course, it's controlled by the Republicans, and the Republicans are controlled by the teabaggers. And I hope that in 14, and I'm told that it's not very probable, but I'm hoping maybe the Democrats, if they don't take over the House, they will cut into the Republican majority to where they can't just deadhead everything that goes on out there. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. Old man, but I was young once. And I was young, I had probably a bit of the devil in me. And I had a good buddy, my bestest buddy. I've got other buddies out there. I've got a list of what I think of as very close personal friends. I'll write it down one night and read it off. But my buddy, the one that I spent most of my adolescence and young adult with, was Dale Peterson. Dale's been dead 4 going on 5 years now. Well, anyway, you've heard me tell the stories about the park there at Siegel North in the Little Valley. We hung out at the park in front of the Rock City Hotel and other famous spots there in the county seat. Anyway, Dale and I were hanging out there one night, and Dale actually came up with this idea, but I was complicit. It was good. And there was a group of us there. There was myself, Dale, Charles Dupre, I believe that's correct. Been a long time. I hate to get people's names wrong. Anyway, Billy Bowen, Charlie Bresley, and then others that I don't remember. They were the main participants in this thing. We're sitting there in the park, and Billy Bowen and Charlie Bresley were young people, younger than us. Me and Dale were probably 20-ish, and they were 16, 17, something like that. And we told them that if they could get us a 6-pack of beer, that we would see to it that before the night was over, we would introduce them to a young lady or a lady that was socially loose enough that they'd make their whole day. Which got them pretty excited. And by hook or crook, I don't remember just exactly how. Well, the lady's name we said was Sally. And for those of you that live up there at Siegel North, Sally was out at 5 Points, which is outside a little valley. 5 roads come together, and there were a lot of cabins out there. We said that Sally, if they got us a 6-pack, we'd take them out and introduce them to Sally. Her husband was a truck driver, and he was gone most of the time. And Sally just loved having young girl, boys come out and play with, watch TV and have an evening's fun. So somehow Bowen and Brisley came up with the money and got us a 6-pack. And I remember we loaded him in my Saab. Now, Charles Dupre, who was one of our co-conspirators, in the meantime, had gone home to his house. And he had what I call a Mackinaw coat. It's a wool coat that's kind of checkered and whatnot. And a hat with ear lappers. And he went home and he got a 12-gauge shotgun. I guess it was his dad's. It might have been his. And he opened up and took all the buckshot out of the shells and reloaded that thing up. And in the meantime, we loaded Mr. Bowen and Mr. Brisley. Now, Bowen was big. I mean, Dale and I were in our 20s, but Bowen was big. I don't know if he weighed 300 pounds at that time because he was 16, 17, but he was a big guy. You wouldn't think we'd want to pull something like this on somebody as big as him, but we did. Anyway, we loaded him and Charlie Brisley in my Saab and motoring out to 5 Points. Actually went past 5 Points. Remember, the cabin we picked was off to the left. We knew there wasn't anybody there, so we'd get away with it. We pulled down in the woods, and there's just a little red cabin with a porch on it. And we get, by the way, in the meantime, Dupre had stationed himself out there behind the cabin with his shotgun. So we put Bowen and Brisley out. Bowen in the lead. He's the big one. He goes up on the step. We're going, go ahead. Go. Bowen knocks on the door. Sally. Nothing, of course. And said, go ahead, man. Okay, she's there. Go ahead. Knock. Sally. About this time, Dupre steps out from behind the corner of that building with his shotgun. He says, "Oh, Sally, you son of a bitch." Boom! Fire shoots out of that shotgun. I mean, it's dark, and I mean, there's this big pillar of fire comes out of it. Now, Dupre and Bowen are right there by the door, and Bowen is at the door, and not Dupre, but Bowen and Brisley are at the door. Bowen is at the door, and Brisley's behind him. And of course, when the report from that shotgun goes up, Bowen goes, Dupre, blam! Bowen turns around. It's every man for himself at this point. And he steps on Brisley and knocks him down, just walks on him, boom! Runs past my car, out onto the hard road, Dupre behind him. Of course, now Brisley has jumped up by this time, and he's after him. And as he runs off, we hear Bowen yelling something to the effect that he thinks I'm dead. Now, my dad is county sheriff. Now, we can't have my dad aware of what we're doing. Just, this ain't gonna fly, get me killed. So now, we gotta turn around and we gotta find these guys. In the meantime, Dupre is chasing them down the road. And they're jumping fences and whatnot. And we're telling Dupre, lighten up, man. Stop it, we gotta get him. So we finally got to him, got him stopped. And we're driving down the road. And they were out of sight by this time. And we are Hey guys, come on out. It was all a joke. I'm alive. It was all a joke. And we found him down the road in a ditch, hugging each other. And I remember we opened the door, and Bowen, who was the big one, came in, and he'd laying on the back floor of the car. And I figured he'd killed us. He was so big, but he didn't. Anyway, he didn't kill us. He probably, if he ever sees this, he'll dig me up and kill me. But we scared him to death. And some guys in an adjacent town tried the same thing, and the people that they picked on ran out through a field and went through a barbed wire fence, and it cut them up pretty bad. And we decided, well, that this was not the way to do things anymore, so we stopped doing it. We didn't do it after the Bowen Brisley episode. We didn't do it anymore. But the impetus to take young people out and scare them to death kind of went away after that bunch of Cattaraugus had that fellow all cut up. Anyway, that's the story for the week. And I've got to get up and get out of here for a minute. Let's see if I can. I'll try to do something. I'll be back in a little bit.